Black Adam, shockingly, wasn't bad. Let's talk about why. Hey guys, I'm Karl. Welcome to my movie film show. Feel free to subscribe down below if you would like to. But today we're here to talk about Black Adam, a new superhero movie, and you know, the world doesn't have enough superhero movies. It's also a movie that's been hyped up for years by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And surely it could only be a failure. It could only be a build up to a letdown. That was my thinking going into it. And also going into it, I'd seen a lot of reviews from well-established film critics saying the movie was bad. Now, sure, a lot of us have built up this thing about superhero movies, and there's too many of them, and they're too generic, so our expectations of superhero movies have died down dramatically down the years. So going into this movie, my expectations were pretty much on the floor. I almost was thinking about not going to it 15 minutes before going to the screening. But I'm glad I did, because what I found was a movie that was quite enjoyable. For me personally, it wasn't the best week. It was a tough week, but I found myself throughout that movie just sitting in the theater, smile on my face, enjoying the movie, not taking it too seriously, of course. It's not a Citizen Kane. It's not a Godfather Part 2. It's not one of the greatest movies of the year, but it's an enjoyable movie. And at the end of the day, that's all this movie is meant to be. And I do think perhaps my low expectations did factor into my enjoyment of the movie, but as well, I've had that before where I go into movies expecting them to be bad and they're just bad. This movie, the pacing of it is decent all the way through. There was some low points, but nothing too bad. The movie's just over 2 hours long, and you could argue it could be like 20 minutes shorter. Overall, I found the story engaging, the characters quite good, and as I mentioned, the movie is quite enjoyable overall. It was also great to see Pierce Brosnan back amongst the big time. I know I might be biased because I'm Irish, but his character was really good, his performance was really strong, and in the end, I felt his character was one of the best characters in the entire movie. On the other hand, you do have characters who were a bit unnecessary. You've got Adam Smasher and the girl with uncontrollable wind. Strange characters because they didn't really add or take away anything from the story. They had their moments in the story, but would the movie be better or worse without them? I don't think so. Now we get back to the whole thing of it being another superhero movie when we talk about the story. And we all know the whole thing for superhero movies, the very basic of it is there's a good guy, there's a bad guy. The bad guy's very evil. He's going to do something evil. Just when it looks like he's about to do what he does, the good guy steps in and saves the day, more or less every single time. And spoiler alert, this one's no different. And it could even be claimed that the bad guy in this one is kind of tame. He is beaten relatively easily in two different scenes. Even the final end battle, it has its moments, but it is relatively easy. But it does lead to one of the best things, or the most gruesome things I've seen in any superhero movie so far, apart from perhaps maybe Zack Snyder's Justice League. But spoiler alert, it's not often you see a supervillain ripped apart, completely in half, just torn apart. That was pretty impressive. One of the weirdest CGI things I've ever seen in any movie is Skinny Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because they had to like CGI him onto a different body, put his head onto a different body to make him look skinny when he's supposed to be playing a slave. That was definitely eye-catching and a little bit odd. Laughed a lot. That's the thing with the movie. I did laugh a lot throughout the movie. Some of the jokes are cheesy, but some of the jokes work really well, and The Rock's delivery of them is fantastic. Dwayne Johnson, I should say, because I believe he doesn't like being called The Rock anymore. All his posters say Dwayne Johnson. But the star piece of the entire show, as I mentioned in my short out of the theater reaction, the star piece of the show is the post-cred scene. And funnily enough, when I was in the movie theater, they put the lights up, a lot of people stood up and walked out. I'm like, have you not been to a superhero movie before? Do you not know what's about to happen? You know, you wait for the first creds, then a scene comes up. Sometimes you wait through the second creds, another scene comes up. But the post-cred scene in this one was pretty big. I had a big moment in it. I'm not going to spoil that, because if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. Very exciting for the future of DC. So ultimately, it comes down to a rating out of 10 for Black Adam. And as I mentioned, it's not the greatest movie of the year, but it is a very enjoyable movie. And in my opinion, it's a 7 out of 10 movie. I'd highly recommend checking it out. But I'd love to hear your rating for the movie. What would you give Black Adam out of 10? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to help out this little channel, you've got a couple of options. You could subscribe, you could hit that like button, you could share it with people, or you could check out either of these two videos.